Hey, y'all. Welcome to episode 4 of Tier 1 Trackside. It's going to be a little bit different from what we've done before. Kind of did a whole revamp of the idea of what Trackside is. Used to do it with my buddy Matt Erickson, where we focused basically on the uh, league that we had going on and everything. But now we're going to focus on iRacing as a whole and even outside motorsports and everything like that. We're going to have my good friend Zach Woods join me as a co-host. Say hello, Zach.
Hi, world. Good to see everybody.
But do you have any ideas like you want this podcast to be or anything like that?
I'm
Outside
just
of
excited.
what
I'm just excited to be part of the show, Brett. I think we're very thankful for what Matt's been able to do for Tier 1, and I've been an admirer of everything that you've been doing here for Tier 1. We're going to be talking about everything really that you're dipping your toes into with the Tier 1 branding stuff, but yeah, excited to do a podcast with you and talk about life today and to be able to talk about motorsport as well as iRacing. And we're going to have a lot of awesome guests on the show. So I'm really excited for what this show is going to be. And it's hard to say no to you. So here we are. So we'll see how this goes.
I don't know how it's hard to say no to me when you're the preacher, I'm the peasant, but that's hearsay. But you talking about we're going to have guests and stuff. This episode is going to be a little bit different than what we're going to do going forward. We're going to dive into myself and Zach and our relationship and stuff like that. But we are going to have a guest later on in the episode, Kaleb Collins, who is actually a really good friend of ours and teammate with Titletown Racing. And we'll kind of get into that too and how we came together and became teammates and everything. But if you want, Zach, I'll let you start off and firing off some questions about myself and whatnot.
Yeah, I think this is a show where really, if you're a first time viewer coming in, you're going to get to know the hosts pretty well. If you know the show for any period of time, excited to, well, for you guys to get to know me a little bit more, but kind of get refreshed on who Brett Bullard's all about. So we wanted to just spend some time and just lob some questions back and forth. And I think the first question that we should wind up unpacking for Brett today is, if Brett is the guy behind Tier 1, let's start there. Tier 1 is like, it covers so much ground now. You're into a little bit of everything nowadays, but talk to folks about how Tier 1 began and how you've seen this evolve over time.
Oh man, that's a lot. Where it really began is we was all teammates and we was racing in different leagues and stuff like that, and we never really found anything that we felt was fair or that we enjoyed or didn't take too seriously but took serious at the same time. So me and Greg, another one of our friends, started Tier 1 Racing League, and we started up doing Xfinity cards at the time and ended up doing ARCA, SRX, and all kind of stuff. And then eventually me and Greg had talked about doing a setup shop or whatever, getting into that. Well, Greg got busy with life and whatnot, and I kept going on with the league and running that. And I got an opportunity with somebody else. But hey, let's start this. So we started with, what was it, trucks?
Yeah.
SK modify or the modifieds and late models was the first 3 cars that we offered. And then through our friendship and stuff with Jaden, who we met through the racing league, he jumped on board and was doing the Cup and Xfinity at the time. And it's just kind of been building since then. We've had some people come in and that stuck around and everything like that that's really helped build the culture and everything. And what I wanted to start the setup shop for was not to make money or anything like that. It was the idea to bring talented people together to show off their work, their dedication, their community and give back to the iRacing community as a whole. And it's just kind of a spread from there. And I mean, shoot, we're doing all the NASCAR stuff now, short track. We're even in the dirt. I never would have expected that, especially Zach. We're trying to get him over there in the dirt world a little bit, but then from there, it just, yeah. But from there, it just kind of, people was asking, oh, can we get some tier 1 paint schemes and stuff like that? So we created tier 1 wraps where we don't necessarily have an in-house painter, but we take painters from in the community and we give them a source to project their or promote their artist shop, or however you want to describe it. But it's a place for them to advertise and get work, and it's a best of both worlds for the painter and for the customer. And then I've also enjoyed doing the broadcasting stuff, because when we was doing the league, actually Zach here was doing the commentating and everything, and I was doing the producing and stuff like that. And I was really having a lot of fun doing that. And then, you know, as you start getting bigger and more people in the shop, they're like, oh, hey, do you do broadcasting and stuff like this? I thought, well, there's another thing we can offer customers and give back to the community. So that's where we're at now. So we got tier 1 setup shop, we got tier 1 wraps and tier 1 studio. And then now we're adding a podcast on top of all that.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy because there's a lot more to Brett that's just the tier 1 guy. I mean, for any of us here on the service, we wind up having our own lives. There's people that do this kind of stuff for a professional goal. But Brett talked about earlier about how, you know, the money part isn't really something that is driving him. But there's a lot personally behind Brett that I'm sure not many of you know. So I think another good question for getting to know Brett a little bit more is, as he's coughing up his left lung, what do you do for a living? Like, outside of this, what does Brett Bullard look like?
Oh, man. Well, I travel for work a lot. I'm on the road probably 90% of the year. I'm an equipment operator, but we work on the rivers for mainly the Army Corps engineers. So I'm operating trackos and stuff like that, building revetments or dikes or bank paving. Like, you go on the Mississippi River or Missouri River, anything, and you see anything rock on that river, that's what we're doing. And we'll even do dredging and stuff like that for the channel or for harbors. So I'm busy all the time. Usually when we're working, it's usually 7/12s. So I'm doing all that and then coming back and trying to corral all this chaos and trying to find the time.
Well, certainly sounds like you've seen a thing or two, and I really wanted to ask, knowing the backstory, I think this is something that fans of the show might gain some interest in. What's one thing that you've seen during your travels at work that you never thought you'd ever get to see, but because of your job, like, you got to go there? Because I know we've talked in the past, you're like, I'm going here, and I got to see this today. And I'm like, holy moly, like, Brett really does travel. And so share with the audience, if you could pick like one big thing that you were like, man, I never thought I'd be able to see this, but you got to see it because of your work, what would it be?
That is a really, really tough question. I mean, most recently, I've never thought I would be in a big city or anything like that, but I've been spending a little bit of time in Chicago, and actually I got to go back up there this weekend. So just kind of driving around there. It was funny. I'm pretty sure it was you, Zach, that I called and was like, hey, I just got done driving the Chicago street course in my F-250.
Yes. Yes.
But it's stuff like that. Like, what I really like to do too is I like going to all these different tracks when I'm in the area. I've been to Coda a couple of times, and that was actually one of how our relationship began, which we'll get to that later. But I mean, I've been by Chicagoland, I've been Coda, I've been to a around Texas, Darlington, Richmond, it just all over it. I want to keep doing that, but it's really, really hard to pick one thing because, like you said, there with me traveling all the time, it's you're seeing something different every other day.
Yeah. Well, a well-traveled man up and down the Mississippi, and I feel like that should be the start of a song if it hasn't surely been already. But
Yeah, that's a good
um,
country song.
so my last question, just for a little bit for our personal stuff or introductory stuff here, we've talked about kind of that semi-professional side, the the actual work, where you've been, what you've seen. I think at the end of the day, for most of us who are on the iRacing service or doing stuff around iRacing, there is a form of motorsport that brings us to the service. So I want to hear about your love for motorsport. What's some of your earliest memories of knowing that, hey, Brett, I'm fairly certain you grew up a NASCAR fan. So
Mhm.
talk to the audience about how that fandom began.
Oh man, going back to my earliest memory, it was probably when Dale Senior won the Daytona 500 in '98. I was not even 4 yet. Yeah, I wasn't 4, but for some reason I remember that. My dad was big into NASCAR, and he was a big Jeff Gordon fan. So it was kind of when I got a little bit older, it was kind of cool to talk crap with him and everything. And then after Senior died, I was real big into it. Went to my first race at Talladega in 2004 when Junior came back from like 11th or something like that and won it in the last couple laps. That was really cool to see my favorite driver win in my first in-person race. Got to see Elliott Sadler flip down the front stretch. Um, and then I really after 20 riding the car tomorrow, I got away from it a little bit, and then probably 2014ish, I started getting back into it, and I haven't looked away since.
All right. Well, who's your guy now?
Oh, Ryan Blaney,
Oh, I mean,
without a
I
doubt.
thought I thought you should tell them that.
Yeah,
But you talked about everybody else. All right. Well, I think that's what I have for you. I think we've covered a good swath of your life. I don't want to give everybody all the details on the first episode. There'll be plenty more times where we're going to wind up throwing shade at each other, whether it be college football preferences or what have you. You're going to wind up learning a lot more about us than just through a question and error here on the show. So, yeah, I'm ready to get it back, Brett. If you got a few for me, so that the audience
yeah,
might be able to learn a thing or two about me.
yeah. My first question is, which I don't even think I know this. Where are you? I know you've moved around throughout your life, but where are you from originally, and how did you end up where you're at now?
So, strange enough, like I was born at a place in Pennsylvania that is not too far away, probably like a 15-minute drive from where I'm at now. And I've I grew up a military kid, so like we moved around quite a bit, and then dad got out of the Air Force. I would call my hometown um, a town called Montoursville, Pennsylvania. And for anybody that um, might watch Little League World Series action on TV, uh, you're watching that on ESPN. That's like a handful of minutes away from my hometown. So every year we'd watch the world come to us, and we'd wind up watching some little league baseball, and uh, that was always crazy. But uh, yeah, that's I would say that's my hometown. I've lived in a lot of different places growing up, but Montoursville is where I'd probably call home.
Old Pennsylvania native.
Yeah, I've
Feel
been
sorry for
around,
you.
Like we did a stint in Arkansas for a little while, so um, that's why part of my heart's a Razorback fan. So, uh, but yeah, we've been anywhere and everywhere in Pennsylvania, and we did a stint in Arkansas. And my dad's family's from Washington State, so that explains this. And yeah, I'm I haven't been all the places you've been to, but through my connections, like we cover a lot of ground.
There you go. The coast to coast, just like your other podcasts you do. Oh man. Which I don't know if everybody knows, but you are a preacher. You're a man of God and stuff like that. And I know you try to incorporate that into your racing and to everything you do. So can you elaborate and tell the audience how you do that in iRacing and what your goal is?
Yeah. Um, yeah. So in 2020, my good friend David and we went to high school together. When the world fell apart and we had nothing to do, we were like, well, let's get into iRacing and see what that has to bring. And it didn't take a very long time for me to be like, I could definitely see this as a ministry, but I have zero idea what it would look like. And um, just getting involved with leagues and understanding that, hey, there's things that are broadcasted. You can wind up doing a lot um, if you make the right connections. We were very fortunate to find a lot of great people with who we race with, and made some really good friends very quickly. And my whole purpose in doing this comes from a section of scripture in Corinthians, and I'm not here to preach, but um, Paul's telling the church of Corinth, "Hey, whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it for the glory of God." And that kind of became my mantra behind this hobby that, on its own, really couldn't be much of much of anything other than a time filler. And went, well, God made me as somebody who loves racing. I grew up loving racing and worked on cars that would hit the dirt tracks on Friday nights, and moved into a place where, hey, I can get as close to the real thing as what I can possibly do. But I also have this very real life thing that isn't going away, and that's ministry. So um, my whole purpose behind doing iRacing is to just simply be a presence for people that know, if you need somebody to talk to, if you're curious about Christianity. I'm not here to preach at anybody, but just to let people simply know I'm here. And through that, we've had some crazy partnerships over the years. God's really blessed it, where I've been able to partner with a lot of great people. Um, my college came in and sponsored me for a series that we did, a league together, uh, that created something that's now called ZWR, which is Zach Woods Racing. And that page on Facebook has 600 followers on it. And that was literally just me posting race recaps for the longest time, and everybody's just super interested over the lessons you learn on the sim and who you get to talk to. But really, the fruit of the ministry has come from um, just, I think, just being present. And I think that's what Christian ministry really should be all about, is just simply showing up and being there. And I think when people like those who are close in our group right now know that there's an issue or something heavy to take, um, they know I'm around. And not that you need me to have that kind of relationship. We're not Catholic, but I think it's really important to have just a trusted friend, a safe place to go. And I love doing that with people. So yeah, that ministry has been just awesome, and we have a Bible study that comes out of that now. And um, ZWR has its own podcast. It's just not as elaborate as this. And I'm super thankful that I have the platform that I have to stream races. We have Bible studies before every race. And yeah, God's really kind of just taken this thing that I had no idea what it would turn into and just kind of run with it. So uh, just very blessed and super thankful to have people that are understanding. And look, I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but if people want to just have me around, that's okay too. I'd like to think I'm a fairly normal human being, and you can get along with me elsewise. So, yeah, that's the ministry aspect of racing, how my professional life meets this hobby of mine.
Yeah, that's awesome. Which I don't think I've ever told you this either. Is one thing that I've appreciated about you is you've never been a person that is trying to shove it down your throat, or every time you talk, you're talking about it or whatever. Like, you really put the effort in to be a friend first, and then if we approach you about something or ask you about something, then you're all in on it. Like, but you're still not trying to bombard us with anything or whatever. You're really just a human first, but you're there for us when you need us, and that's something I've always appreciated since I've known you.
Well, thanks.
One last question before we get into a little bit different section about our friendship and stuff. What is something that people commonly misunderstand about you?
Oh, um, man, commonly misunderstand. Well, I think I'll take this two-folded. I'll do kind of like one in the everyday, and then the other more on like the sim side of things. I think the everyday is strange because like this happened last night at Bible study at church. We have a young man in Bible study, and you're talking about something uh pretty pretty relevant, and he winds up being like, man, I don't know if anybody's gonna get this, but this problem really happens a lot when I wind up playing video games. And I just kind of turned and looked at him, and I patted him on his shoulder, and I was like, yeah, I understand. And he kind of looked at me like I had four eyes. And I think a common misconception about ministers is that we don't like anything else. And like we're just like living in the pew, and we're just we're just sleeping next to the altar every week.
Yeah, you never leave the church building.
Yeah, I got my own hobbies. I got things I like. And yeah, so that's one misconception about me out there. I would say a misconception about me in the sim would be that once they know like who I am and what I'm doing, and let me tell you, like I want to do it right. I want to do it the right way. I was a Mark Martin fan growing up. I hold myself to that kind of respect on the sim. But a lot of people just kind of think like because of what I am and what I do that I don't get fired up, or I will just roll over and let people roll over me. That ain't the case. Like I get upset, and I will make your life miserable out there on the sim because we're racing. And
Hey, if that goes silent, don't be near them.
yeah, yes. It's a self-control thing, but yeah, I get fired up, and I think a lot of people mistake what I wind up doing for a living, and they're like, oh, he's just a pushover. And like, man, like if I
Not the case at all.
if I really get it in me, like you're not getting by. And it's
You might even get
it's
spun.
it's fun. Oh, and what's some of my favorite things to do with Brett, just for the fans that are watching out there, is whenever Brett's behind me, especially for next gen stuff. Like,
Oh man,
it's like a favorite hobby of mine. I love to aero block Brett Bullard.
It don't matter
Like,
if we're first and second or 39th and 40th.
It's my favorite thing to do. And so, I think people really have this misunderstanding about what I do and how it correlates on the sim, and they come to find out very quickly that if you get me upset, it's very, very wrong. So yeah, I would say those would be two easy misconceptions.
People just trying to judge a book by its cover instead of trying to see who you are.
Read the book.
Yeah, that's right. At least read the back cover of it. The next couple questions, we'll kind of go back and forth. There'd be questions for both of us, but I'll tell you mine first, and then you can tell me yours. My first impression of you when we first met was that you were super unapproachable and that you were too good for everybody. But I believe, if I remember right, it was when we was racing in Core when I first came on the team. And I think it was an instance where the one time you was mad at somebody, and I think that was just I came in at the wrong time and I got that impression of you, but it turned out to be the complete opposite of who you are.
Yeah, that Core run was really intense. Like I remember that really well. That was my first like real run at a championship. I didn't have any reason to be running for the championship. All those guys in there are just lights out, super great. And I was just like top 5 and top 8 in them to death, and managed to squeak into the Final Four that year and had a legitimate shot to win that championship. And like, yeah, if you wind up joining at the wrong time, like that's kind of like Brett came in the room when Zach was quiet, and like he's probably looking at this going, "What the heck is this guy?" And I'm just trying to, do what I need to do, and I'm glad to hear we've worked past that though, because
it didn't take long to get past that one.
Yeah. I'd like to think I'm a pretty approachable dude, but yeah, I would see if you walked into the room at the wrong time, that would be an easy spot to land. My first impression of Brett and the beginning part of our relationship, I kind of lump Brett with a group of people, because in the beginning of our iRacing tenure, when I say I mean my buddy David and I, we were just kind of like two fish in a giant pond, and we had nobody. Like we did not know how any of it worked. We didn't know how league racing worked. We didn't know, like, are these people that we're going to wind up talking to post the session, or we just, how does this work? And Brett was part of and he still is a part of a group of people that I can't speak for David, but I know David feels the same way. A group of people on the service over at Titletown Racing that really were super open. See, I have the exact opposite first impression, which is like, man, if like I had a problem, or if I needed to know what to do to get better, they were so willing to give of their time, and made it really approachable for new people. And Brett was one of those people. It also helped that Brett, Wes, and I seem to, like magnets, find each other no matter where we were. So we had a lot of source material to bounce off of each other. There were a lot of times early on where we were racing for like 18th, and back then I didn't aero block you for fun, but now I will. So it's my first impression of Brett was really, uh, man, he's just like one of these other guys that are giving us a kindness that uh, we didn't really find anywhere else, and uh, really grew to appreciate not just you, but that whole group. So yeah, uh, and I think in turn, it's always been that way. Unlike your impression of me, where it was wrong. Um,
I'm glad this
Brett,
one was right.
yeah, I'm very glad that this one was right. It's one of those deals where we have a really nice tight knit group that loves
Mhm.
to help each other, and I think that's what makes our group really special. So to keep that and hold that for as long as we've had um, is very unique. So just very thankful that we get to be a part of that group. So I think our next question is in terms of, all right, we got the first part out of the way. I think
Mhm.
everybody kind of wants to wind up knowing, all right, they talk a lot about the sim and they seem to joke around with each other outside of the sim. How does our banter work outside of sim racing? When did our friendship really start to find its
Oh,
way out of the sim and into other places? So we'll lobby that one back and forth.
I would have to say, at least from my memory, which is usually complete shit. So correct me if I'm wrong. um, is when we started talking football because you're a big football fan and I'm a big football fan, which you're a Penn State guy, I'm an Alabama guy. So there was always a old time rivalry right there with going back to the 80s and playing for championships and stuff like that. So, and then with you being an Arkansas fan, we always talking crap, Big Ten, SEC, and that's kind of where it started. And then it really took another level when I'd called you one day when I was traveling and asking you about the Book of Enoch and the history of stuff and this and then not only because I'm not the most religious guy, that's why I call him preacher man. I'm the peasant. It's a running joke we got. It's more of a running joke for me than it is him.
And I hate it. And I hate it.
But I mean, it's but like we started bonding over just the history, like world history and stuff like that, because that's something I really enjoy and stuff like that. So it's really, I think we're more friends out of the sim than we are in the sim these days. And we hardly ever talk racing anymore unless it's about NASCAR.
Yeah. Yeah, I think uh, and like that's the really cool thing about um we talked about ZWR for a little while. I think um the point of that is to just be around, and uh I always hope that everybody that I wind up talking to is somebody that is able to kind of say, "Hey, I've never had this kind of conversation with anybody else before, but Zach's been around, so let's throw this at him and see what he thinks." And uh, man, like, yeah, I remember that phone call very, very well, and just kind of nerding out with you over world history and things like that. And I I'd love to be able, again, more misconceptions, right, about preachers and ministers is like, well, they don't know anything other than the book. And I'm like, yeah, but like there's that book is like one small
Mm-hmm.
place of a very large world where other things are going on. And it adds a lot of context to what's happening in the book. So you got to know. And um it was just a great phone call. And I remember going to my wife and being like, "Oh man, Brett did the thing," and like we're gonna this is
It's like
starting
the
now.
last person
Like
I
it's
expected.
it's getting serious, and it wasn't anything about like winning anybody over.
Right.
Like
It was just a
my
conversation.
yeah, like my firm belief is like God does the winning, but at the end of the day, like I want that kind of like rich relationship about anything and everything with all of our guys that we wind up meeting on the service. And Brett's famous for saying we're doing this for the friendships, and so
not anymore. Fuck that shit.
So I'm holding to it. I'm holding on with two hands. So yeah, I think that's really the day where a lot of it changed, and it became a lot more than just the iRacing stuff. So. Hello, my children. Hello. Are you down here to say goodnight? No. What are you down here for? We go to Mace today as a family. Can you what? We go to Mace today as a family. I gotta wrap this up in terms of what I'm doing right now. But if you give me some time, then yes. So please go back upstairs. Please go back up.
Hey, buddy.
Hey. I am it. And
you get to meet the whole family tonight.
Yeah. They knew that I was doing something. All right, you gotta let us go do this, and then we'll go get ice cream. Come on. Okay, go, crazy children. Hold on.
Oh man!
Please close the door. Cute. Please close the door. This happens during my streams. Like I'll be winding up having a Bible study with people on the stream. They'll just show up and I'll be like, I have no idea what we were talking about. So, but I think we were transitioning, Brett, into similarities between you and I. What would you say is like the biggest similarity between us? And then I'll give the viewers what I think is our biggest difference.
Oh, biggest similarity. I would have to say it's probably our passion for sports, and not just in a general sense. Like we're super passionate about football and racing and stuff, but we're not just passionate about watching it. We're passionate about how it works, how people interact with it, how we can make the friendships in it and everything like that. Just like you said, I'm famous for let's make friends. But I think that's where our biggest similarity is, and it is just our passion for it and our outlook on it as a whole.
Yeah, I would think probably our biggest difference that you're probably going to wind up feeling through the show is that I do have a good group, like a core group of people here on the service, but it's really Brett that does a incredible job through all the things you've heard. Everything that Tier 1 is dipping their toes into these days, Brett does a really good job at making sure like everybody feels seen through Tier 1, and every like the people that are associated feel like they're getting something out of it, and that creates like a whole giant network of people. And we have a list of people that we want to wind up interviewing, and he's like, yeah, I'm sure you're not going to know all these people. And I'm like, no, I don't, because like I got my core little group. Like I'm good. I don't have to go anywhere. And Brett's like, I know all these people. And so I think that's a pretty big difference where like I found my group. Like I'm content, and Brett's always kind of like that networker, just trying to see who else is out there, who's got the gifts in order to make Tier 1 what it is, whether it be through drivers or painters or commentators, whatever. And
really just decent people.
Yeah, I'm not that guy. Like I'm like, please, like somebody in our group tell us where we're racing and I will follow you there. And we'll see what happens, but don't make me be the guy that goes out there. So I think we got introvert extrovert thing going on. So yeah, I think that's a big difference.
Yeah, I can't argue with that at all. But the next thing we're going to do, just kind of finish off about me and Zach, we're going to do a little quick fire questions. I'll start it off, and we'll just kind of go one after another. Who is more organized?
Me. 1,000% me.
Really?
I'd venture to think.
I think it's closer to 50-50 than that. You was pretty sure. You was pretty sure. Mine's more of an organized chaos, though.
See,
you
I can't
like more structured.
I can't exist in that world. It's I can't do that. So, yeah, maybe organization's a little bit. They are organized. They're just different flavors of what that looks like.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, your turn.
All right. Well, who's the most stubborn?
Not me. It wouldn't be me.
Man, you're really stubborn on that point, aren't you? you're gonna hold to that in front of everybody.
It's definitely me. It's definitely me.
On the show. Don't lie.
Hey, I'm just a peasant. I can lie.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I would definitely say Brett's the most stubborn. It definitely comes out in how we race, where I'm like, I get mad and I will think about how I get even. Brett knows how he's getting even. Like when it happens, it's.
Hey, I didn't cut him a break.
So he's got it made up in his mind. Like you've used your strike. It's over, and I ain't moving. So
nope.
Yeah.
Oh man. Who is more likely to overreact?
It's strange. I would say early on, it would have been me. Like I used to get really upset on the sim, and I would like to think I've gotten a lot better. So I don't know. Feel like
I think we've both kind of evened out a little bit. Yeah, because I used to hit that mic button pretty quickly.
Your overreacting now is on College Football 26, where they're not passing it to the right guy. So
yeah, I do get pretty fired up about that.
Those are
just for y'all to know, me and Zach is doing a dynasty where we're doing coach mode together, and we get pretty fired up when our quarterback doesn't do what we want him to do.
We do. So, next question: who's more likely to show up late? I know you hate being late.
Yes. I would have to say you, not by choice, but I think it's because of just your time with your family and stuff, because I'm usually on the road by myself. So I would have to say you by default.
Yeah. I think one of the bigger life lessons that I wound up learning about timeliness comes from a missionary who did a lot of work over in Thailand, and one of his biggest takeaways about the culture over there is that if you're early, you're on time, and if you're on time, you're late, and if you're late, it's unacceptable. You cannot be late. It's one of the biggest dishonors that you can bring on somebody else. And like in principle, I also try to hold to those things. But man, I got two kids that don't cooperate. So not that we're going to be competing numbers of children over here, but I think mine are quite a handful at times. And so yeah, I'd say because he's on the road, I think Brett's probably more likely to be on time.
Yeah. Now, if I'm at home, that's a completely different story. Completely different. I can't ever schedule anything when I'm home. He's got two of them. I got five of them running around, and yeah, it's absolute chaos in my house. Let's see. I'm not even going to ask the question because I already know the answer. I'm just going to tell people I take jokes too far. 100%. I'm that guy that will step over the line and make a Jerry Sandusky joke about Penn State.
Yep. We are. Yeah, that's Brett. That's Brett.
Yep, that's me.
And you'll probably figure it out here on the show. Like Brett's 100%. Brett's gonna say something dumb. No, I'm just gonna sit here and shake my head.
Without a doubt.
So
Without a doubt.
There's nothing stopping.
All right, this is going to be Trackside Rundown, where we're going to talk anything and everything from NASCAR to whatever comes to mind. And if y'all have ideas for future episodes, y'all put them down in the comments below. But with this being the first episode of this season, what are your thoughts on the state of NASCAR and the changes that's happened so far, with the big thing being going from the playoffs to the chase?
Yeah, I am a huge fan of going back to the chase. It's not what a lot of old school fans want, but this is as good of a compromise as what you could possibly get, right? So I think that going back to the chase preserves some integrity in the sport that we've been missing for a while. I don't think you're going to have a fluky run in for a championship, and if you get hot if you get hot at the right time, like I think of Tony Stewart getting hot back in the chase era, everybody regards that run in the chase as not a fluke. Like he was in a hole and he went on a generational run to get out of it. And so I think with this format, it does promote greatness. If you're going to find yourself from 6th, 7th below, you're going to have to get on that tear come the chase. And I really like that. I think that for us fans, we've been yearning for something that rewards greatness. And we've had a few drivers that have been just on a tear this year that are ahead of everybody else. And with some surprising names up in the chase that proves you don't need shock value winners to make a good, whatever you want to call it, a postseason field. You have some really nice names up there, either in the chase right now or contending for chase spots, that are great storylines in and of themselves. So yeah, that's my opinion about going back to the chase. What about you?
I like it. I like it a lot. I did enjoy the playoffs, but I do think that I don't want to say that you didn't get the best champion in a lot of ways. My guy won it a couple years ago. Probably should have won it last year. Or not last year. I'm sorry. That should have went to Denny Hamlin. I'm thinking of when Joe Logano won it last. What was it, 25? I can't remember.
24.
Yeah, it would have been 24. He should have won it. But I like it. I mean, like you said, it's the best compromise going from a whole season of points to not have the playoff. One thing that you said that a lot of people have been saying, that you have to be in 6th or up to win the championship or have a legit shot. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think we've seen so big of a swing in points with people this year. I think it's really open to anybody. Now, if you're 15th, 16th, you're really going to have to go on a generational run like Tony Stewart. But I think if you're sitting in 10th to 12th, I don't think you have to have a generational run. I think if you have a really solid run through the playoffs and you don't have that one mulligan or whatever, I think that you can be in contention for it, as long as nobody's going and winning 4 races in a row like Reddick did, that's at the top. But I think it's going to be a little bit more wide open than what people think once you get in there. The only thing that I don't care about it still, I think it's a sticking point for you too, and I think you'll see it more in the O'Reilly series this year, is like somebody like a Justin Allgaier has got such a huge lead over the field, and it gets set back to 25 points above second or something like that. So I think in years like this year for Justin, if he was to lose the championship, it would still be a disappointment just because of the run he's went through the regular season. But I think it's a hell of a lot better than the playoffs that we've had. But I am glad that they didn't get rid of stages, though. I know you are not a stage guy at all, but I still like the stages through the chase that they have now.
Yeah, I'm not a chase, or I'm not a stage guy, so I think at the end of the day, you kind of take the win where you get it, and we got it. We don't have the playoffs anymore, so this is a more responsible way to crown a championship, in my opinion. So I'm gonna take the win and roll with it. I'm not gonna complain about it too much, as so much of the community is prone to doing. So, um,
Yeah.
well, talk about think about the field. Who's in the playoffs? Who's flirting around that line? Who out there, in your opinion, is really exceeding? There's a few of them exceeding expectations this year on the NASCAR circuit on the Cup side.
I think a lot of people is going to say Carson Hocevar. I agree with that to a point, but with his talent and everything, we know that he can do it talent wise and everything. But I think the biggest surprise of the year, I think maybe of the decade, is what Daniel Suarez is doing this year. I want to say he's in the top 10. I mean, I thought he was out for dead after he got let go from Trackhouse. I mean, he didn't do anything there, and I guess that just shows how off Trackhouse is. Yeah. But that one has shocked me tremendously.
Yeah, I agree. I think Suarez is a really good pick. I think of, a storyline that I'm really enjoying is the SVG storyline. Like, can he hold on? He's missed an opportunity at the naval base to really leg out some points. So now he's just got to frantically hold on. And then he turns around at North Wilkesboro and has a generational kind of run for him on an oval.
He made up for San Diego.
Yeah. And it's like, man, he might actually do this. And the guy, strangely enough, the guy that very well might bump him out that I would want to highlight is Eric Jones. Eric Jones in the 43. Like, I really appreciate what Legacy is doing in terms of building their own playbook. They've talked about it extensively in terms of, look, he could have been, Jimmy Johnson and company could have been a feeder team and siphoned off of somebody else, but they went about it the hard way. And now you're starting to see the fruit of that. And Eric Jones is, I've really enjoyed his story and how he's mannered and how randomly at Darlington he can just come out of the woodwork and get a win. So, like, that guy is fantastic, and it's really neat to see the 43 doing well, getting closer to the chase time.
I don't have a knife, but I have a key, and I'm going to pop your bubble a little bit. I don't know if you was privy to this information, but actually starting this year, Legacy started getting information from JGR.
Oh, well, there you go.
They started getting some of their JGR people ingrained into Legacy and stuff, and they've been working better together. And I think that's where that big step in performance has gone up. But they don't have, from what I understand, they don't have as much of a partnership as like what 2311 does, but they do have some information now. And I think that's showing. But that's not to sell Eric Jones short. I think he's been a phenomenal talent. He just hasn't had the cars to do it. I mean, what he's done with the cars he's had the last 5 or 6 years is remarkable.
Yeah.
But I mean,
so we'll flip it. Like, let's flip the conversation. So we've had some excellent runs, some guys flirting around the chase that haven't been around the chase. What about the guys that are disappointing? Where are we seeing runs that we're like, man, we kind of expected more out of this group?
Easy answer, Connor Zillage. He's having the rookie year of hell. But I'm not going to go with such an obvious answer. I'm going to go with another Spire driver, and Michael McDowell. I think a lot of people thought he was going to be the more consistent driver of that stable. But I think he's, quote me if I'm wrong, but I think he's below 30th in the standings.
He's
Right. He's way
pretty
down.
far down there.
So, I mean, I never expected him to be in the top 10 in points or anything like that, but I expected him and his team to be the more stable, consistent top 15 team throughout the season, and they just haven't been that at all.
Yeah.
So I would say that's my most disappointing team of the year.
I would say I'm going to expand it a little bit. I am disappointed in what I'm seeing out of Ford as a whole this year in the Cup Series. And I think it's you hope that next year they're getting a new body, so maybe they figure some things out. But you would think that they'd they'd be second to Toyota as Chevrolet figures out their stuff. But man, like your guy Ryan Blaney is like, that's
He's
it.
a unicorn out of that stable.
Yeah. And you look around the landscape and you go, well, I mean, I know Joey just won, but Joey's been awful everywhere. Seemingly, he's irrelevant some weeks. In the 30s, like he's just doesn't show up. And you look at RFK, and RFK started out good, but they've tapered off. You could argue front row's probably the second Ford team right now, based off of how RFK is performing. Like Zane Smith is having a better year this year. The Todd father hauling the mail for front row. I think it's a good story. So,
and then you got Josh Berry and Noah Gregson that's back there with Zillich just having awful years.
Yeah.
But,
I think I think Ford is really just a point in which we got to see some more. Hopefully this Joey Logano turnarounds.
Do you think that's a body issue, or do you think that's more of a like a setup issue, or like a fundamental setup issue within the manufacturer?
I don't know. I feel like there hasn't been a lot that has changed. I think it's Toyota has made such a leap forward, and the distance is a lot between them and where the other two manufacturers find themselves. And then you're finding that, hey, we got Chevrolet incrementally figuring out an improved body from week to week, that Ford really, they've hit their ceiling. Like they don't have anywhere else to go. So I think they're going to broaden their horizon next year with a new body. So they're going to have more wiggle room to grow, I feel.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. I think it's a mixture of both. I think it's just Toyota's that much better than everybody else, and I think it comes from the continuity between the teams and the information sharing between the teams. Like that partnership with 2311 and JGR is just so strong, and they're getting such good information from each other, and they're willing to share it, that it's put everybody a step ahead of the other manufacturers.
Yeah. Well, getting out of the teams, well, let's talk about races or moments of the year so far. We're approaching the chase. You know, there's a lot that's happened. I think for just an easy answer for moments that stand out to us, like what Tyler Reddick did in the beginning of the year was obviously unprecedented, but it is NASCAR history playing out right in front of us. So I want to give him his flowers, but there are many other moments that have happened this year other than what Reddick was able to do. And lately he's seemed very human. So that's been a whole nother deal with.
I wouldn't even say he's human. He's just had the rabbit's foot or something, like just getting hit by somebody that decides to pit from the third lane on the back stretch. I don't understand where his bad luck changed so quickly. And then we had two generational runs this season between Tyler Reddick and what Denny Hamlin did on his run. And I would even say Denny's was more impressive, even though he technically started from the pole. 2 of those races, he was started dead last and went up there and won the race anyways.
Yeah. Living in an era where everybody complains about passing, and Denny Hamlin in a 4-race stretch went, aha,
Gotcha.
gotcha. So it's those are pretty great. I think the Daniel Suarez win for the Coke 600 was very special. NASCAR coming back and going back to Charlotte after the passing of Kyle Busch, and you could just tell like how much that meant to him because KBM touched a lot of drivers, and he's one of them. So that for me was a really cool moment, and again sticks out to what you said before. And like we didn't really expect Daniel Suarez to do a whole lot of anything this year, and he's definitely holding his own.
Yeah, he wasn't dominating that race by any means. And
No.
you had the weather and everything, but the fact that he held off the Denny Hamlins of the worlds and what was it, 2 or 3 restarts right there at the end, like that was impressive. I would have to say another moment that stood out to me. It wasn't necessarily just the win with Carson Hocevar at Talladega, but that celebration that he had is going to be an iconic moment in the sport for a long time. Like you don't see that emotion or that charisma from drivers anymore, and I think that's going to stick and be on highlights for a long time to come.
Yeah, even though Kyle Larson might say he's acting like an 8-year-old. So
hey, don't let Todd Gillen get talking about it. Or was it Zane Smith or Todd Gillen?
Zane Smith.
Zane.
Yeah,
he don't like him at all.
They do not like each other as a human.
Hey, that's what we're here for. We need them type of rivalries in the sport. Like actual rivalries, not just these PR rivalries.
So yeah, I think on that note, we've mentioned some storylines, we've mentioned some memorable moments, and we've mentioned the fact that everybody was really concerned, right, with the chase coming back. Oh, we're gonna have a runaway. We've seen the beginning of a runaway, and then Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney have both hunted him down, and now it's a 3-horse race here charging towards the playoffs. We have a nice healthy bubble trying to get into the chase. So I guess your synopsis on the changes in NASCAR, and has it produced enough moments where you think this is gonna stick? This is gonna be the format.
Oh yeah, 100%, because it makes it where every moment and every race matters. Because if say last week Blaney was going to finish in the top 5 and was going to be really within Tyler Reddick, well, he ends up speeding, getting on the pit road, and now he's 40 behind Reddick now or something like that. So the big moments in a race mean a lot compared to, I'll just win a race and I can put around in the back or wreck every week until the playoffs start. I think it's brought the intensity back on a weekly basis, and I think I'll see how we get away from that again. But NASCAR, they like to change shit up every now and then for better or worse.
So I think for me, I hope it stays. Ideally, I would want this huge switch back to the way things were, right? But if this is what we got, I hope we rock with it, because man, there's so many awesome storylines, and you can be a guy that likes a boomer bus driver like Tyler Reddick has been this year, and ride the roller coaster, or you could be like our guest who's going to come on later, Kaleb Collins. He's a big Chris Buescher fan, and Chris Buescher will top 10 you to death. And so like every week, right, I gotta get that 10th to 13th place, nab a couple stage points. I need that to keep the status quo. For the fan, there's a lot of different ways to root for your favorite driver.
Right.
during
And
the
then
season.
you got like your Christopher Bell and your Chase Briscoe that got in a big hole at the beginning of the season with Rex and everything, and they're having to claw their way back and not rely on a win to get in the playoffs. And then on top of that, with with Bell's broken wrist or hand or whatever it is, and like it's all super interesting to see where everybody's at and their battle that they're having to do that's so much different than everybody else.
Yeah. So, you have any other thoughts on the NASCAR season so far?
I have I wouldn't say it's a hot take, but it's a personal take. Penske needs to get their pit crew situation under control because Blaney keeps getting absolutely railroaded by his pit crew every week in our Discord. Oh, look, here we go. 5 less spots we lost. Joe Logano ain't been shit all year until this past weekend. Has one of the best pit crews in NASCAR. Why the hell can't you put the best pit crew with the best driver and the fastest driver of Ford? Figure it the fuck out.
Well, I think Joe Logano's a multiple-time champion. You got to give him the best pit crew. So, sorry.
If he wouldn't have stolen 24, Blaney and Joey would have the same amount of championships, but it's whatever.
It is what it is. So, yeah, I think it is fun to poke fun at Brett every single time they go down pit road because it's like being able to turn on the sink and have the water run. Ryan Blaney's gonna go down pit road and something bad's gonna happen. So it's entertaining. It's been fun for us.
Well, you got anything that you see happening during the rest of the season or anything like that? Or any hot takes?
I'm looking close to that Shane Van Gisbergen battle at the cut line. Man, like it made sense. He's been good at like Richmond. He's been good at Martinsville. Those shorter tracks with corners that you could literally pick up off the racetrack and plop it on a road course somewhere, and it would make sense. I did not think he was going to do as well as he did at North Wilkesboro, but he was fantastic. So it's
kind of works out for him. I mean, outside of a super speedway at Daytona, I mean,
and he's
kind of got the tracks.
He's sporty at Daytona. Like he's not afraid to go up there.
It's going to be hard to tell with the new package that they got going to Daytona. That's going to be interesting and throw everybody for a loop.
I agree.
I think
it's going to be a lot of fun though. And practice is back. Happy practice is back. So
I don't think teams are going to utilize it like everybody thinks they will.
Well, that's on
at least not this year, because you can't even go back to the garage and make big changes or anything.
Yeah.
But even this past weekend at Wilkesboro, they had a 50-minute practice, and there was teams that went out there, did one run, and they was done. I like that they did it, but I wish that they would go farther into it and allow them to go in the garage and work on their stuff and do wholesale changes.
Yeah, me too. But it's a step in the right direction.
Yes. That's all we can have, which I have to give NASCAR credit. The past year or so, or really ever since Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin sued the shit out of NASCAR and won, they've been going in the right direction with Steve O'Donnell at the helm. I think that's putting a racer in that position has really helped.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of opened the France family up to be more open to ideas. But well, I think that's going to be it for our NASCAR rundown this week. I do want to highlight some winners that we've had with some of our Tier 1 setups and even some of the leagues that we broadcast on Tier 1 Studio. If I butcher your name, I'm so sorry. I'll do the ones with the setups if you want to do the ones with the leagues, if you got the list there, Zach.
Frantically scrolling.
We got Brian Hughes, Anthony Mullett, Keelan Edwards, Cameron. Is it Payment? No, it's not Payment.
Payment?
He's Australian. I don't know how they pronounce it. You got Dane Sprecklemeyer, Michael Evans, Freddie Osley, Tyler Barnes.
All right. And we have some recent winners from Tier 1 studio broadcasts we want to highlight. Wild West N4 at Pocono was John Stathakis. Goodness gracious. Wild West Late Model at Myrtle Beach, Traw Smith. Wild West Arca at Las Vegas, Keith Ayers. Wild West Truck Series at Homestead, that's Michael Loveless. Core Champion Off-Road Pro 4 at Candon, that is Thad Countryman. And then Dutch Dirty Dozen Cup Series at Talladega, that's Andrew Howell.
Well, congratulations, everybody that got a win the past few days. Also, another thing I want to shout out to is we have a Tier 1 racing team type thing too, where we go and race in leagues and stuff like that. And we're in a league right now. It's Hutchinson's Motorsports Cup Series. They do it a little different, where instead of going just off of driver points, they go off of car points. So you can put different drivers and stuff like that in there. And one of our cars, the number 1 car, is in a championship battle with 2 races to go, where me, Jaden Hopp, and Greg Wood have all driven that car this year, with Jaden taking most of it, who's a pro driver in iRacing. But just want to give a shout out to Jaden and Greg on the stuff that they've done, and the other drivers that's running other cars in that series. But hopefully Jaden can finish out the season and bring home that car championship. And I believe he's in the lead for the driver championship, but it doesn't pay out any money, just the car ownership does.
It's we'll dip our toes outside the iRacing community, and I want to be able to get, we've been talking about tonight about a little bit about ourselves and getting people to know us a little bit more. And so I really wanted to turn the tables on you, and because it's fun. We've got a fun show here. And so Brett, I want to run through some food with you.
Oh, Lord.
And you're gonna give the audience a black flag or a checkered flag on your food preferences.
All right, let's go.
All right. Black coffee.
Black flag.
Black flag for black coffee.
Gotta have some creamer in
it. All right. I have McDonald's on my list, but you literally ordered McDonald's before our show, so we all know that's a checkered flag. He's got that sweet tea. He's got that sweet tea rolling.
Yep.
Focusing on the fast food stuff, because you do travel a lot. Taco Bell.
Checkered flag if I don't have to be at work and I'm close to a toilet. Black flag if I'm at work.
and black flag right now, right? We got that.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know. You live under a rock. But
yeah, from what you was telling me earlier today, yeah, definitely black flag.
Oh goodness. Arby's. It's a hot topic.
Oh, black flag. Black flag.
Oh.
Not even a question.
Oh, my heart hurts. My heart hurts. I love me some Arby's. Mexican food.
Oh, checkered flag all day long. I could eat it almost every day. But I get the same meal every time I go to Mexican.
Oh, what would that be?
Texarkana fajitas. Steak, chicken, shrimp.
Chinese buffets.
Kind of like the Taco Bell. If I can go back home, it's a checkered flag. Any other time is black. But really, about 2 hours afterwards is a black flag because you're hungry again. So it's like you just wasted money. But
are you? Oh man, I can't frame this question in the way where it's checkered or black flag. But how about diet or regular soda?
who the fuck drinks diet?
Oh, okay. That's a diehard. That's a diehard.
Yeah, no, I can't do diet.
Normal.
I've
You
tried
can't do
Diet
diet.
Coke, Diet Dr. Pepper. Like, I can't do it.
You are not just black flagging diet soda. You are black flagging, disqualifying. Get out of my session.
Yes, you're disqualified. That's not a pass through penalty. That's a you are disqualified. I got one
All
for
right.
you. That's
All
kind of
right.
like that. Name brand soda or off brand soda?
It depends on the soda. And yeah, like give me some like Mr. Pibb and I'm there. But like I don't know, like
Shame on you.
Green Thunder or whatever, like it ain't got nothing on the normal thing. And so like yeah, I'm pretty name brand. I can't give all off brands the black flag though. Yeah. Mr. Pibb.
I can't
Big
believe
Mr.
you choose Mr. Pibb over Barks. That's a catastrophe.
Well, I'm a mug guy myself, so it's yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame. But yeah, so they get to know us a little bit through Black Flag or Checkered Flag. So hopefully, if anybody is wondering uh, what you would like to see on maybe this segment in the future, lobby some questions that you want to know about Brett and myself, and give us the
In
option
the comments.
to see if we're going to give it a black flag or a checkered flag. Hopefully, you can get to know us a little bit better through this segment. And welcome to a segment here that we're really excited to kick off in a real meaningful way. This is the part of the podcast in which we're going to be able to interview a whole bunch of people from different walks of life when it comes to not just specifically iRacing, but as in this week, our friends. We're really excited to be able to get to know and talk to people that are meaningful for us in our lives and share them with you. And in this case, we figured that having a guy from the group that we've talked so much about, Titletown Racing, here in this show, would be a great fit for tonight's show. And here we get to have Kaleb Collins join the show. Hi, Kaleb. How are you doing?
Hey, great. Sorry, you guys had to get stuck with me. I can't believe you couldn't get Richard Petty. That's a bummer, but I'm glad to fill in at least.
You were free. You were a free interview.
That's true.
So
Yeah, I am cheap.
well, Brett, you want to lay out the sort of the trail in which we're going to blaze here with Kaleb now on the show.
Oh, there ain't no telling where we're gonna go with Caleb talking. They can go any which way. But I do want to start, and so everybody kind of knows who you are and what you do and where you're from. Kind of give us your background of where you're from and what you do and what you have done in the past.
Well, I'm from Texas, if you couldn't tell by the accent. Grew up a cowboy, was on a horse since I was 6 weeks old, and that was kind of the background I grew up around. From my dad's side, and then my mom's side um, was really kind of big into racing, and all the mechanics are on that side of the family, and so I got kind of a cool mixture, I think, of growing up that way. But now get to use that a little bit as a parts guy for a diesel shop here. So that's seems like everybody around here is into dirt racing, so that fits in really well with what I enjoy in my free time. But I got a wonderful wife, Becca, and two kids, and one on the way. Um, both of them little girls, so I like to escape to the office here and pretend to race in my spare time whenever I get too much estrogen in the house. So that's that's where you guys fit in.
I'm surprised you ain't racing more often then.
Yeah, every chance I get, it seems like.
So what kind of, I know you've been doing mostly asphalt and stuff with us, but least from conversations and stuff, you were a dirt racer first, right? When it came to the sim.
Yeah, for sure. That was my grandpa, my mom grew up going to local dirt track we had here, the Thunder Bowl they called it, um, here in Amarillo, and so they loved doing that. That was kind of their father daughter thing that they got to do. Her whole side of the family, like I said, gearheads, mechanics, and whatnot. And so they loved going to watch the dirt track races. There wasn't any pavement racing, really, still isn't much around here. And then that dirt track eventually closed down, and we got Route 66 Motor Speedway, which is kind of turned into a really, really nice track that like High Limits coming to, and USAC and a lot of stuff like that like to come to now. So then, whenever she had me, that was just kind of the thing we passed down, and I got to go to the dirt track on Saturday nights with my grandpa and my mom, and that was what I grew up watching. We really, until I was probably 7 or 8, I didn't even know what NASCAR was or IndyCar or anything. All I knew was dirt track racing, and
Mhm.
that's still probably the thing that I enjoy doing the most. Watching and also doing on the sim is I don't like traction. I like to just slide around and sort of drive it with the throttle. That's a whole lot of fun for me, and seems like I'm a little bit better at that for whatever reason. But getting in with you guys, I guess I've kind of turned into a pavement racer here lately.
I don't blame you there. But what kind of dirt car would you say that you prefer? Like a dirt midget, a sprint car, a late model? What kind of car would you prefer to drive in real life
Yeah.
if you could?
410 sprint cars are the most fun. I'm not the best at them. Um, the best, what I'm best at is taking pavement cars and running them on dirt for whatever reason. But you know, good luck finding a league that you can do that in. So, but 410 sprint cars are a whole lot of fun, and they're just on the edge, out of control all the time.
Have you done any real life racing or anything like that?
No, no, sadly, and it's kind of because I got family that kind of has gotten into it. A lot of people in the mechanic industry and in the parts industry around Amarillo. That's kind of their thing is they go dirt track racing, and I always wanted and begged my dad to get me in a race car, and he was like, and to his credit, he was really honest about it. He was like, "Look, we don't have the money for this, and if you want to make this happen, it's entirely on you." And that's that. And so I never was able to really get a good opportunity, but the older I've gotten, kind of the more I respect that, or I kind of appreciate that now that realistically I have access now, right? I'm a grown man. If I wanted to go out and get into a race car, I know plenty of people that are out there every Saturday night running around having a ball, and they don't have lives outside of that race car. They get done working at the shop, and the cars or the trucks or whatever they were working on during the day go out, and the race car rolls in, and they stay there working at the shop all night long, and that's kind of that. And some of them that works for, I don't know if it would necessarily work for my family though, and that's kind of, you know for me, faith and family comes first, and I want to be there for my kids. You know, maybe better than or more than my dad had the opportunity to with me. So, and look, wrecking a digital race car is a whole lot cheaper than wrecking a real race car, and it hurts a lot less too. So I don't mind how it turned out.
Yeah, I don't blame you there. It's a lot cheaper that way. We just so happen to really like really expensive hobby if we try to go real life racing. You got any questions platform there, Zacharias?
Yeah, so talking about growing up in Texas, you're kind of around the dirt scene, quite a bit. If there are any astute viewers out here watching, you can kind of see back in the back the myriad of things that he's got going on back in the back. I see different Terry Labonte memorabilia and whatnot. And, you grew up in racing, uh, particularly around dirt. How did that transition to NASCAR start? Where did that begin? Who did you wind up navigating to as a favorite driver in the sport?
Well, so let me tell you how that happened because as much of a fan of dirt track racing as my mom and her side of the family were, my dad really liked stock car racing, pavement stock cars. And along about the time, I guess I was probably, um, well, no, I guess I said I was probably 7, but I guess I was really probably closer to like 5. Um, he started watching on Sundays. We'd come home from church and he'd turn on TNN, which Brett doesn't know about. He's a little guy. He's a baby. But back in the day, every single race was basically the same time every Sunday. It was on the same channel. It was TNN, and so we'd start watching races. And one day, my mom came home with these two little diecasts, and it was 164 diecasts, and it was Terry Labonte, his Bush car, which at the time was the MW Windows number 14, that white and red car, and Bobby Labonte's Cup car, and it was 96 because he had just gone into the Interstate Batteries ride, right? Gotten it from Dale Jarrett when Jarrett went to race the 88. And she goes, "Hey, look, these are the guys you're watching on TV, and these two are from Texas. And these are the only two in the Cup Series from Texas." And I was like, "Wait a minute, what? There's people from Texas?" Because nobody in my school was watching NASCAR. This was not like a cool thing. I didn't think like these guys came from anywhere near where I lived, and I mean they didn't there in Corpus, but still closer. So that was when I became a Labonte Brothers fan, and followed them through. Got to go to the first race at Texas Motor Speedway, which you can't see, but at the top of that case is a Jeff Burton diecast, because that was his first win, was that '97 Texas Motor Speedway race, and then Bobby Labonte's Interstate Batteries car, and of course Terry Labonte. I think Terry finished third in that race. Bobby finished fourth. But once I got to go to that first race, man, I was hooked from then on. I was like, these are my guys right here. And they were, I mean, obviously, '96 was a pretty good year for Terry Labonte, anyways. So that was kind of cool, anyways, to hop in whenever they were kind of at the peak of their success, too.
So that's who would have thunk, born out of practical cereal box toys, a whole new fandom of latching on to drivers that from your state, and you go, all right, well, these are some guys I can get behind, and then you strike gold to go to a race and they're actually taking names and doing well. I'd say you hit that jackpot for a long run. So good job. That's a great story. And for one more, we've talked about a bit of what you do, and we've talked about your passion for racing. Brett and I, we've shared a little bit about ourselves here on the show. Kind of give us a little bit more about yourself outside of the arena of work and racing. What's something that you do that is a relaxing to you, or a hobby for you, something that really scratches that itch outside of the sim, outside of work? What's something that gets Caleb going?
Probably getting outside, honestly. I And if you're gonna be a cowboy, you kind of have to be an outdoorsman. You're not gonna make it if you don't like the outdoors because you're stuck there a lot. And I don't have unfortunately I don't have the luxury of having horses anymore, but I spent a lot of years on the back of the horse. Out riding around in some pasture somewhere, middle of nowhere, and it's so peaceful. I still love, the nice thing about living where I live is we've got a canyon right here that's the second largest canyon in North America. That's really cool. We get to go out, we get to go camping in that and hiking around when we want to. We we live, like 6 hours from the mountains in one way, and we live 6 hours from the hill country down the other direction. So we like to get up to the mountains pretty often, go to the beach when we can, even though that's like a 10-hour drive, so that's a little bit of a haul. But any chance to get outdoors, even if it's just, hey, drinking a beer out on the back porch, and enjoying the sunset. We got some, look, we ain't got trees here, but what we do have is sunsets. So even just sitting outside and watching the sun go down, I like being outdoors. When I'm not doing this stuff, that's what gets me going.
Well, if Rockstar Games needs to find some inspiration for a Red Dead 3, look no further than Caleb Collins. Beer and sunsets and horses. I mean, that's that's cowboy through and through right there. And that's
That
good
is,
stuff.
yeah, Red Dead is one of my favorite games. I know that shocks you.
Not at all.
That
Not at
fits you
all.
perfectly.
Well, Brett, where are we going next?
I'm going to get a little bit more personal with you. It's kind of what I asked Zach earlier too. Is what is something that people commonly misunderstand about yourself?
It's easy to look at a guy that, I mean, I'm not as tall as Zach, but, a 6 foot guy with a beard and, a ball cap or a cowboy hat and sunglasses and you know, not necessarily the easiest guy to approach, which is good sometimes, but, you, it's life is too short to live it, without having a good time. Like King George said, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. So really, the the purpose at the end of the day, yes, iRacing and all that goes with it scratches a competitive itch, and that's cool and that's fun, and that's something like we don't get to do once you're like out of high school or if you play college sports or whatever. You don't really, that scratches that itch that you don't get to scratch. But at the end of the day, I want everybody to enjoy this. I want everybody to have a good time. I want to go through my day, and if I can make other people's day better, then I'm doing my job. And sometimes that's not easy to remember whenever a guy cuts you off or spins you out or something. But at the end of the day, hopefully that's the goal. Hopefully I've done that more times than not.
Well, if you're anything like us and the rest of our TTR teammates, we're pretty hot headed when it comes to people cutting us off and bumping into us and everything. So it is very hard to accomplish that all the time. If you don't have anything else for him, Zach, you ready to go to overrated, underrated segment of this?
Yes. So we're gonna do a bit more of something that you guys saw earlier in the show with Brett and I, but this is overrated, underrated, not necessarily black flag, checker flag, where we're gonna do some rundowns and kind of get some perspective here with Caleb about some things in real life racing, some things in life, and some things on the iRacing circuit where I think you're gonna find Caleb is pretty passionate about the things that he's passionate about, and the things at the end of the day that don't really matter, he doesn't really give a rip about. So,
Yeah, this is where you lose all your fans because they're like, this guy they're interviewing is an idiot. I don't like him at all.
So, The rules of overrated, underrated is you have to state overrated or underrated before you explain why, and you would just hit us with your best shot. So we're gonna hit you with a couple iRacing things that people are passionate about, and you let the fandom know, is it overrated or underrated? All right,
Okay.
all right. I'm gonna lump them both together: iRating and safety rating.
Oh, both of them together? Um, both of them together overrated. Safety rating a lot more important than I rating, but I've gotten my butt kicked by a lot of guys that had a lower I rating than me, and I've gotten wrecked by a lot of guys, and I don't want to name any names, but they might rhyme with Roger Carruth, who have a lot higher I rating than me, and maybe a certain Dean Thomas, that yeah that also races in the same series, that should know better and don't evidently. Um,
Hey,
so
Zach knows that all too well with his asterisk Talladega win.
Hey, every time I see that particular individual do something he probably shouldn't in real life, I point at the TV screen and I go, I beat that guy once. And
does it pretty often too. It's kind of
yes.
shocking.
So, all right. Overrated, underrated. This is a pretty hot take. Expensive sim racing equipment.
Overrated, way overrated. I've consistently the most expensive rig that I know the price of that I've raced against was 11 grand, and I beat him every week. And I'm not that great of a racer, so I would definitely say overrated. I was actually my cousin is looking to get into iRacing, and was kind of trying to figure out how much I am into it for, and I was like, look, honestly, you can get into this for $100. You can get into this for a few $100. I mean, um, I I gave him my G920 wheel and said, here you go, go nuts. I'm not using it, and told him if you get a $350 set of pedals, that's probably all you're ever going to need. And you don't have to get big monitors. You don't have to get triple monitors. You don't have to do all that stuff. You can just iRacing for the price point is pretty good, honestly, for what you're getting. You don't need a fancy setup.
All right. Overrated, underrated. Running in multiple disciplines or running disciplines you've never raced before on the sim.
Ooh, um, underrated. It's hard for me to do that because once and especially not have being a dad, not having all that much time, it's hard to race in a bunch of different disciplines. But I think it really makes you a lot more well-rounded. I think that's kind of doing as much pavement as I've done lately, and mostly in one or two or three cars. I think has kind of been a detriment to me over the past year or so. Looking at where I was before that, I think it's good to just race everything you can as much as you can.
All right. Overrated, underrated. Social media popularity in sim racing.
Way overrated. Yeah, I'm not a big social media guy. Don't care. Look, this isn't NASCAR. We don't care how many followers you have here. You can still suck. It's not pay to play. Yeah.
Well, hey, I was honest. I said he cares about the things he really cares about, and he doesn't give a rip about the things that he don't care about. And so we knew going in that that one was definitely going to be no bueno.
Yeah.
And
You knew the answer to that one already.
well, you did mention NASCAR, Caleb. So let's transition into some NASCAR topics here for overrated, underrated. Brett, do you have a few for the NASCAR side of things that you wanna
Sure
shoot
do.
at Caleb and see what he thinks.
I'm gonna start off with a heater. Overrated or underrated or overrated stage racing?
Overrated. Gosh, it's so overrated. And you know, like, okay, look how North Wilkesboro went. Just to bring up the most recent example, that race, what there was 6 cars on the lead lap, I think, with the way that caution fell.
Thanks, Alex Bowman.
Yeah, right. Of course, pinned my guy like 2 or 3 laps down. Um, I just, I never had a Again, I understand that I am not the audience that NASCAR is going after, right? But I never had a problem with a guy winning by a lap. I never had a problem with there being 6 cars on the lead lap. Um, that was still interesting to me. I don't necessarily want to see it every single race. And I wouldn't mind if they did stage races at some tracks for some races. I really think it'd be cool to do heat races in NASCAR. I know Clint Boyer was really trying to kind of push that at one point when he was still racing, and it's always fallen flat for whatever reason. I guess NASCAR fans don't want heat races, but I don't. Stage breaks are just. Um, it seems like they're just trying to wreck more cars for the ratings. I guess I don't know. I never really got into it.
That's fair enough. I knew that was going to be a hot topic for you. You're very strong on that stance. I think every other day you over there bitching about it.
Probably right.
Here's another one that I'm pretty sure I know the answer as well. Overrated or underrated? Overtime.
Way overrated. Just think if they had overtime in 1998. Dale Earnhardt would have never won a Daytona 500 if they had overtime.
My objective to that is how many he would have won before if they would have had overtime.
I don't know. It's been, oh man, since you started this, it's been driving me crazy. The last few years, Indy 500, like every year, we got to stop the race with 1 lap to go and red flag the field because we're not going to do overtime, but we're going to finish under green flag. I don't care. I don't care if you finish under caution. I don't. I understand most people do. I'm not in the majority on this, but I do not need to see a green flag finish in any race. Don't care.
Well, let's try and get something that. Go ahead.
My man.
Let's try and do something that I may not know the answer to. What about driver rivalries? Overrated or underrated?
Underrated. That I love a good rivalry. That definitely. I mean, Brad Keselowski walking out on stage and picking up the mic and saying Kyle Busch is an ass. How did that? You can't tell me that didn't build up the sport and get everybody riled up. Earnhardt and Gordon wrecking each other, or Earnhardt and Bodine wrecking each other all the time. It's got to be now somebody, and it might have been Gluck, asked Brad Keselowski recently if if he and Kyle Busch were still rivals or if they had gotten along. Of course, it was while Kyle Busch was still alive. But he was like, he said, basically his answer was, we get along fine, but we couldn't really have a meaningful rivalry where both of us are running now. So it's got to be guys at the top. It's got to be guys that are getting a lot of attention. It's got to be like Hocevar and Hamlin, something like that, for it to work. But it always builds up the sport. And it can't be fake either, right? Like these guys can't really be best friends. It's got to be somebody, it's got to be, it's got to be real. NASCAR fans are too intelligent. They see right through fake. So,
well, I think we got a real good one with Carson Hocevar and Zane Smith.
And everybody else.
Weeks.
Carson Hocevar in the field.
Oh man. Well, I think that's all the overrated, underrated we got for you this week. But we are going to transition to Garage Confessions, where we're going to ask you some pretty embarrassing things, and you got to be honest with us. And I'll let old preacher man over here lead us off on it.
All right. So the first question is a similar question that Brett and I answered about each other earlier in the show. What was your first, if you can remember, what was your first impression about the two other people here on the show?
I'm trying to remember the first time I raced with y'all. Maybe Zach, were you in HTL?
Briefly.
Okay.
I can't remember if you raced Backfire or not.
No, I got in after Backfire.
So would have been like I did a brief stint in HTL, but I also did core. And that's
Yeah.
like I did core for that 1 year.
Hmm.
And that's where Brett and I met, and he thought it was the worst human alive. Um, he's already said it on the show. You can't take it back. But you might have been there in core. We might have met over in HTL.
Yeah,
But it was
maybe
around that
MSRL.
time.
Was it
MSRL,
HSRA?
Maybe.
No,
Yeah. Nah. Well, maybe.
I feel like we knew each other before MSRL. So
I remember honest opinion of Brett. I don't remember where it was the first time, but I remember going, this guy really likes Ryan Blaney for some reason. I don't know what it is about Ryan Blaney, but this guy's a fan. Um, and uh, and then I think somebody wrecked him, and he got hot and started just letting them have it over the radio, and
I
it
was
was
doing my
very
best Ryan
entertaining.
Blaney impersonation.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it made me think of too at the time. That was very entertaining, and uh, and I was like, "Yep, this dude's authentic. I could have a beer with this guy. He'll be all right." I didn't realize how young he was. I mean, we got to educate him every once in a while, us old guys. But no, I was like, this dude's all right. And Zach, I just remember seeing uh, Christian iRacers. I want to say it was in a truck because for whatever reason, I remember it on a tailgate or
I would have
something.
been core.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. And I was like, that is badass. I don't know what that guy's deal is, but I mean, look, I put, I always put something on my car, whether it's a cross or a Bible verse or my church or something somewhere on the car, but I don't put it on the tailgate because usually that means I'm cutting somebody off whenever they see that. So I'm like, this dude's going to cut you off and say, go to church. So, so I got a
Kind of.
kick out of that.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, it's been really fun. I just the journey that I have stumbled upon to find such a group of guys in TTR and Spin Move. The way that I got there is wild. Can't believe it happened. Got to be the hand of God, and just the group of friends that I've managed to gain from that has been really cool. Getting to know everybody on the team and everything, and just the amount of different things that everybody's into, and just building each other up, fellowshipping and stuff like that. It's been a huge blessing for me. Hopefully I've been a blessing in other people's lives too.
So I think I as great as that was, as much as we want to keep buttering you up, I think a good follow up for this, a good follow up garage confession would be what habit do you have? Whether, and I think it might be easier to think about at home, but it could be on the sim. If you really want to stay over there, you can. But what habit do you have that annoys other people, but you can't stop?
Oh gosh, the thing that annoys me most is my voice, but that's because I
Oh,
had to listen to myself for so many years whenever I was in the radio business. But uh, I don't I know on the sim the way I I annoy some people sometimes intentionally, um, but
Not
uh,
you.
yeah, I do enjoy putting people in bad situations. I got a little bit of Larson attitude that way, I guess. So I know that ticks people off. Um, outside of outside of the sim, not everybody likes a guy that's quite so straight to the point, and that's something that my wife has made me very aware of over the years of marriage, and sort of softened out some of my rough edges in that way. Um, just not always being completely blunt. Not everybody wants to hear that sometimes.
I think that can the comment about making sure that you can be blunt on the sim and put people in precarious situations. Sometimes we wind up doing that as sim racers, and we wind up making fools of ourselves. So the next garage confession is, what's the most embarrassing thing you've done on the sim? Is there a moment where you randomly think about it and you're like, oh no, I can't believe that was me?
I have wrecked on restarts as much as we give Zach a hard time for being the king of restarts. I have taken out the field on a couple of restarts. The one that really comes to mind was a series that we were running recently, and it was Cup cars. And I'm not good in Cup cars. I don't like Cup cars, Gen 7, Next Gen, whatever you want to call them. Don't like them. Don't like how they handle it all. Um, and it was a tough season for me for several different reasons. Um, but there was a Kansas race, and Kansas isn't necessarily my favorite track, but it's kind of getting there lately. And there was one race that we ran at Kansas that I was not bragging, just clearly the best car. And that doesn't happen very often for me. And got wrecked for no good reason. And that just, God, that ate at me all season long. And then we went to Chicago, and I was like, okay, perfect, redemption time. Chicago is going to be great. This track just fits right into my wheelhouse. High speed, high banked, lots of character to it. And I stayed out on old tires one time because I was going to pull the old Brett Bullard strategy and save a set of tires for the end. And I hit that bump in turn three, and it spun my ass right around. And I collected it, and then I came around another time, and the tires were heated up and angry, and it did it to me again. And I was like, I'm cussing myself all the way around the track again, and came around for a third lap, and it did it again. And this time, instead of saving it, catching it, it spun me around and put me right up into the wall, and caution came out and wrecked my car. It was toast. I was pretty embarrassed about that one, and it's I haven't been back to Chicagoland since that on the sim, so that's probably going to be still fresh in my mind. I'll be at work once in a while and think of that, and eats
I,
at you.
I will say to the viewers out there that might be drawing a picture of Caleb on the sim, I will say, if you get in a race or a league race with Caleb Collins, and it turns out to be a fuel mileage race, oh buddy, buckle up,
You're in
Buttercup.
for it.
You're in
I
for
was going to say,
you're
if you get in a league race with Caleb Collins, he's probably within a position or two of Zach Woods the whole
yeah.
race long. That's how it seems
Nowadays,
to work.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And man, if we're in a fuel mileage race, there aren't too many people that can do it better than Caleb. And I have no idea how he manages to do it, other than the fact he's got three pedals, and I also have three pedals. I just
Now,
choose not to use mine as much as Caleb uses his, and he's a magnificent fuel save, tire conservation. Like I know personally, I've learned a lot about that kind of stuff from guys like you, guys like Ricky, who are patient with their stuff. So it's not all embarrassing, not all the time. So
just a
uh,
lot of the time. You know, the best guy at fuel saving, talking about core, that's kind of where I got started league racing. Kevin Foster, which is a guy from down in Houston, he was always the best at saving fuel, and he would always get a couple more laps than everybody else. And I was watching him early on when I was doing iRacing, and I was like, he won like several races that way, and I was like, I want to do what he's doing. I need to figure out what he's doing and do it that way. And he was not going to tell me. He does not reveal any of his secrets, but I figured it out fairly well, I think now. It is really fun. I hope you guys get Greg on here, but I'll tell you right now, one of the most fun things there is to do is hear Greg say, "You can't make it on fuel," and then prove him wrong. Done it a few times now, and it's really rewarding every single time.
You just gotta hope he doesn't wreck himself to bring out the caution to screw you. That's the rate he's been going lately.
We'll get that in before he's here to defend himself.
There you go.
Yeah. Oh, Brett, I think unless you have one more garage confession to give, I think that's pretty good for garage confession segment tonight.
Yeah, I want to do one more personal one, and it kind of goes off of that. What is your most embarrassing non-racing moment?
Oh man, I can still remember this too, or at least the one that really comes to mind. Um, so I was a freshman at West Texas A&M. Now it used to be West Texas State here in Canyon, where I went to college, and I was at the time I was still in band my freshman year. I used to play trombone, and I was marching in band that year, and wasn't good enough at it. Only lasted that 1 year, but there it was my first week in school, and everybody was showing up, and the scenery was significantly better than it was at a 1A high school. And there were these two girls walking by, and we crossed paths, and looks were exchanged, and I kept on walking thinking, man, I'm the coolest guy in the world right now, head held high, and completely missed that little ledge in the sidewalk that went up about 2 inches, and face planted right in front of these two girls. And they did not hold back whenever they laughed at me falling flat on my face. Um, that was a fun one. Also, there was another episode in college. There was a kind of a long story, but we had a class project that was basically to just do unpredictable things. And somebody thought that it would be a good idea for this experiment in my group of five for me to take my shirt off and just walk through the busiest spot on campus. And it's like think of like a student union building, right? Like this is where everybody's hanging out on campus. And sure, okay, and I wasn't particularly athletic at the time, still am not. I've had my moments, but this wasn't freshman year in college wasn't necessarily one of them. And so I walk right down the center of this building, and you can see it was the most fascinating thing. I felt like I was on National Geographic. All the girls formed up that just like subconsciously went into immediate herd mentality. All of the girls in the building um, formed up into two groups and parted the Red Sea for me to walk by. And everybody in the whole place was staring right at me. And as I'm walking by, just trying to act as confident as I can, not giving a hoot, I hear from the left of me one of the girls from this group say, say, I didn't know bellies could shake like that, as I was walking by. And it was all I could do not to die laughing. But I wasn't as embarrassed about that as I just kind of thought it was funny because I was comfortable with my self image there. But that one was a funny one. That one sticks out in my memory.
Oh man, that is pretty funny.
Sticks out like a belly that jiggles.
It does. Call me Santa Claus. It's a bowl full of jelly.
Hey. Oh goodness.
Well, I think that's gonna be it for the garage confessions. We'll do our cool down lap. Do you have any current projects you're working on, or hobbies, or anything that you got in the works, or anything?
Well, I mean, the one that we've been losing sleep over lately, along with you guys, is College Football 27. Now that it's on Steam, I get to enjoy that. But no, that's outside of work, spending time with family. Of course, the third child on the way here, hopefully at the end of October. So that's taken all of our attention or all of our anticipation, I guess, at the moment. So that's going to be the next big thing on my plate. So we'll see how much I'm racing in late October, early November. You guys will know how well it's going.
Right. Uh, well, I don't. Do you have any more questions for him or anything like that, Zach?
No,
Before we exit.
No, I thank you, Caleb, for your time tonight. Man, you've been such a great interview, and it is a special day for us here to be able to do the show. And as much as we would have liked to have Richard Petty, to have somebody here that means a lot to both of us for our first episode here together, you've made it worthwhile. So thank you for your time, man. We really appreciate it.
Well, I'll look forward to next week when you guys have Richard Petty on the show then.
Well, we'll be well.
Don't hold your breath.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. Don't forget to check out Tier 1 Setup Shop for any setups, wraps, or broadcasting, and we'll catch you next time.